All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about Tesla's stock today, which has just gone on an absolutely insane run. But the big question is, why now? What's really going on behind the scenes? So first, just to get our heads around the numbers, we're talking about a valuation that has rocketed up to $1.6 trillion. I mean, that's not just big, that puts Tesla in the stratosphere with some of the biggest companies on the planet. And if you think that's the peak, well, some people are saying, nope, this is just the beginning. The thinking is that the market is only now starting to grasp what Tesla's actually been building all this time. So that brings us to the core of it. Is this just, classic market hype, or has something truly fundamental shifted under the surface? Has the game completely changed? Well, the answer, it turns out, has very little to do with the cars they sold last quarter. Nope. It's all about a massive technological leap that investors are betting is happening right now as we speak. And this is the moment that seemed to light the fuse. A Tesla was spotted just cruising through Austin, Texas with, get this, absolutely no one in the driver's seat. This isn't just another test run. For a lot of people, this was the signal. The moment they've been waiting for is finally here. And what's making it all possible is the new software, full self-driving version 14. Now, this isn't just an update, it's a totally new approach. And from what we're hearing from people who've actually been in the car, it looks like they've solved two huge and very different problems. Okay, so think about it like this. On one hand, you've got safety. That was the big hurdle, right? The absolute non-negotiable price of entry to even be in the game. But on the other hand, you've got comfort. And that's the killer app. It's not enough to be safe. The car has to drive in a way that feels human, that feels confident. And the big bet is that Tesla has finally cracked both sides of that coin. And this breakthrough, it's not just a neat piece of tech. Oh no. It's the key that unlocks a ridiculously powerful economic engine. See, here's Tesla's secret weapon. Other companies have to build brand new, special vehicles for their robo-taxi fleets. Tesla? They could, with a flip of a switch, a software update, turn millions of cars that are already sitting in people's driveways into a massive autonomous network. This creates what one source is calling a flood effect. Imagine this. They pick a city, say Austin, and they just flood it with robo-taxis. Wait times could drop to basically zero, almost instantly. How do you even compete with that? And this is where the money part gets kind of crazy. Look at the math. You take the driver out of the equation, and your costs just plummet. So even if they charge the same as an Uber, their profit per mile is huge. We're talking about them potentially pocketing around $2 for every single mile driven. The business model is just beautiful in its simplicity. The car is out there working all day, making money on almost every mile. At that rate, the car pays for itself super quickly, and then it just becomes a pure cash printing machine. So, what does that all add up to? Well, here's the number that's blowing everyone's minds. The math suggests that each one of these cars could generate as much as $100,000 in profit per year. Now, just take a second and multiply that by a few million cars. Yeah, it's staggering. But hold on, because it's not just about the robo-taxis. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, these X factors, that are feeding into this perfect storm of optimism. You've got investors buzzing about everything. There's talk of a SpaceX IPO on the horizon, wild ideas about partnerships for data centers in space, even using their Optimus robots to build on Mars. It's this whole convergence of futuristic, high-growth narratives all happening at once. Okay, but we have to hit pause for a second and get a little reality check, because for as exciting as that future story is, the financial picture, right now, today, tells a very, very different story. I mean, look at this disconnect. You have the valuation soaring into the stratosphere, but the company's actual recent financials, they've been pretty flat. In fact, some reports say they're about to post their lowest revenue in 3 years. That's a huge gap between perception and reality. And that disconnect is making some people ask, okay, are we getting a little ahead of our skis here? It's a huge bet on the future, for sure, but a future that might still be further away than the market seems to think. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? How do we make sense of this wild valuation, the incredible tech, and the kind of sluggish financials? It really all boils down to one powerful idea: hyperchange. What's being priced in right now isn't Tesla, the car company. It's a massive trillion-dollar bet on the exact moment that a car stops being a car and transforms, almost overnight, into a money-making robot. The feeling in the market is that the switch has just been flipped. This isn't science fiction anymore. What used to be a dream about the distant future is now being treated as a tangible, imminent reality. A reality that's about to unlock trillions of dollars in value. And that leaves us with one last really provocative question to chew on. If a car is no longer just a thing that sits in your garage losing value, but an autonomous robot that goes out and earns you money while you sleep, what else changes? What does that do to the very idea of cities, of work, of ownership itself? And that is the multi-trillion-dollar question.